What is good, Finn Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one on a somber Friday after what happened last night in prime time. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to give you all the latest updates, videos, and articles, and just the latest little tidbits and updates on TUA TAGOVAILOA as far as his health, including the statement that he released today. As usual, we'll also go over the PFF grades from last night, as well as the next-gen stats and the snap counts. We got obviously a ton to talk about in this episode. But I just got to start off, and I've been sitting back all day and just observing. And if you're on Twitter and you saw what I said, you already have kind of an idea how I feel. But let's get into this for a sec, all right? All of you that are out here taking your little victory laps because you're more worried about being right or whatever agenda you have at play than the kids' health. Hey, cover your kids' ears if they're listening. You're pieces of shit. All of you out here questioning a level 1 trauma center and neurologists, while you're out here flipping patties or working a normal 9 to 5, you're fucking idiots. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm sitting here, I'm listening. We got people in this community taking victory laps over this kid's injury. Then on top of that, we got people in this community justifying these people taking victory laps. Oh, well, he's just being who he's always been. It's okay. It's okay. That's who he is. All right. You cool, huh? That's where we're going here. Shout out to Knight for becoming a member. Says TUA is still the guy. It's a concussion, not a bone. That's where we're going now. Now we're justifying this. See, people are telling on themselves without even telling on themselves. You wonder why Reason keeps to himself and doesn't mess with a lot of you. Because I see the way y'all move behind the scenes. I see it. I hear about it. And then publicly, I see this kind of stuff. Victory laps on a kid getting injured and other people justifying these people taking victory laps. Oh, well, you told them to keep the same energy. Yeah, we told y'all to keep the same energy in terms of when you didn't want him as your starting quarterback. Not to brag and gloat if he gets hurt. And then on top of that, you got platforms out here clipping out to his injury and throwing it up and trying to get clicks off to his injury because they want to get their subscriber counts up and they want to get their views up and they're that desperate. And then you got other people out here, part of the little collective channels, and they're doing cut-ups of us Dolphin fans reacting to his injuries and trying to monetize and profit off of it. What is going on here right now? And to those people that decided to make a little compilation, enjoy the copyright claim and strike that will await you in the morning for using my footage. And the fact that there's a Dolphin fan in that little collective and he allowed that to happen, I'm going to have a conversation with that said individual as well. What is going on right now? What is going on? We got our own fans victory lapping over his injury. We got other people in this fan base justifying those people and defending them for victory lapping. Then we got other people in this community clipping up and trying to profiteer off this injury. What kind of human... You wonder why I don't mess with a lot of y'all. Y'all ain't good people. Some of y'all just are not good people. Fact of the matter is, and y'all want to label me the asshole because I tell it how it is. Knock yourself out. End of the day, I'm a better person than all of you. All right? At the end of the day, you see me sharing the GoFundMes. You see me, when someone says, Reason, I've got something going on, you see me putting that up there for them. And highlighting it. And trying to help them in any which way. But y'all out here literally trying to profiteer. You do it with your panels, and y'all are doing it We're seeing how y'all running your stuff and your platforms with how you're doing it with this whole injury now. Now y'all are really telling on yourselves. Now y'all are really telling on yourselves. And all I gotta say is, what if that was your kid? What if that was your brother? Huh? Ian Baller says, I feel embarrassed as a Dolphin fan. So do I. That's why I'm not even naming these people. I'm not even giving them the clout. I'm embarrassed they're a part of this fan base. I'm embarrassed that I have alignment with them. And I've been telling y'all about this stuff since that jabroni got caught in his little group chat plotting against me. People in this community are not good. They try to act like they're against bullying and stuff, but then they go out here and they defend people taking victory laps on a 24-year-old kid getting injured. Make it make sense. Y'all are frauds. Y'all been frauds. And I seen it from 100 miles away. And I've been seeing it. Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's embarrassing to be a part of that. Absolutely embarrassing. And, bad enough, I can count on one hand how many people in this community's football knowledge I actually hold in high regard and actually respect. Bad enough I don't respect a lot of your takes and think y'all are way out of your depth with your football knowledge, trying to give off the perception you're something you're not. But now you got to do this kind of stuff. I mean, y'all just keep taking L's. And I'm sitting here just watching this. It's ridiculous. Twitter, YouTube, it's ridiculous. Facebook, same thing. Cheesy16 says, in the end of the day, regardless of how much you don't like a player, injuries are never something to gloat about, no matter what the team. Listen, everyone knows I've never liked Jerome Baker from day one. Everyone knows I do not like Jerome Baker. But I don't spew the hateful things and make it personal the way these other people out here do. And do I want to see Jerome Baker get hurt? No. And here's the thing. I know more about the game than these people, and that's why I don't like Jerome Baker. Based off evaluation and tape. These guys have personal vendettas and agendas against Tua. They want to be right. They're more concerned about being right than what's best. And I've been saying this, that they're more worried about being right than what's best for this franchise. That's always been the case with the Tua thing. So, it's just, the fact that people are victory lapping on this is absolutely disgusting. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, this community needs to get purged. I've said it before, we need like a 48, 72 hours, put us all in the same vicinity and let's purge. Seriously. It's ridiculous, man. It's disgusting. Some of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. And I'm going to tell you this, man. A lot of you new cats, you're some of the worst thing, and this goes every platform. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. A lot of y'all new cats, man, this community was a lot better off without y'all. Seriously. Especially on Twitter. Jesus, Lord almighty. Some of y'all on Twitter are just absolutely ridiculous. Shout out to the homie Jim McEwen for donating $9.99 through the super chat. And don't think us OGs haven't had this conversation behind the scenes about all these new cats and how they aren't good for this. And all they do is feed off toxicity and live off negativity. Don't think all of us OGs haven't seen it. We don't have conversations about it. Because we do. And I saw it coming from 100 miles away. 100 miles away months ago. That's why I don't mess with a lot of y'all. What do you want me to say? Literally. Literally. So, absolutely embarrassed to be a part of this fan base with some of y'all. It's bad enough when you become a content creator and you get to certain levels, you start to see the ugly side of this fan base. I saw it with the Buffalo shooting. I saw it, I've seen it a few times, and it's another, and that kind of turns you sour to a certain portion of the fan base. But then when you see this stuff too, like, I don't even want to be aligned with some of y'all. I already didn't want to. Now I really don't want to. All right? So, unbelievable. Some of y'all should be absolutely embarrassed. Cardfin927, preach it, Reason, preach it, bro. Be real. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can get your empty numbers up. You can do whatever. End of the day, everyone going to know who the realists out here are. It's an absolute embarrassment that this is going on over a 24-year-old kid. Like, some of y'all should really seriously be embarrassed with yourselves. And, I don't even know what else to say. I really don't even know what else to say. I'm going to leave it all at that. And if you take offense to that and the shoe fits, wear it. If anything I just said, that shoe fits you and you took offense to it, no apologies from this side. Wear it. Wear it. Seriously. I'm not even joking around right now. If you just got offended by what I said, that means the shoe fits, so wear it. Period. Anyways, let's get back to this. So with obviously this injury going on, it was a topic, and I'm not going to play the clip because Fox is real serious with coming after people when you play their content or whatever. So I'm not going to play the clip. But if you guys have a chance, go watch what Joy Taylor said. She nailed it. Like, specifically, let's talk about the media for a sec, right? The media heading into that game, how many were truly concerned about Tua's health? How many were like, well, he shouldn't play tonight? And now you see how they're reacting to it, and, it's turned into this witch hunt. See, my big issue with this whole Tua thing, this is my whole big issue with this right now. It has become more about people's agendas, whether in the media or on these Dolphin platforms. It's become more about agendas than this kid's health. Because I'm not even, and ask EM, we've had this conversation, I'm not even buying the injury prone. This is why I ain't buying the injury prone. I'll explain it to you. Okay? 2 tightrope ankle surgeries in college that Alabama just does. So you can, reduce the chance of sprains and further ankle injuries. He came back after 2 weeks. The hip is what knocked him out, and that would have knocked anyone out. When we go by the finger in the Jets game in 2020 and then what he was held out, I've been told by people into his camp, not just his training staff, that he was good to go. Last year, I knew he was good to go for the Colts game and beyond. And the year before, I was told he could have played through that finger injury. So I've always said, we don't know how many games he really should have missed because Flores was clearly had something at play there. Anyways, now this happens, all right? He comes back in the game against the Bills, show he's that competitor. The thing is right now is we're not dealing with an extremity or a non-contact injury. We're dealing with a hit yesterday that would have knocked anyone out. When you look at the whip force that he was thrown with and you look how his head hit, you could be Josh Allen, Justin Herbert prototypical size, you were going to get knocked the fuck out. All right? Period. So I'm not going to hold a hit. See, but here's the thing I will say. Listen, the hip injury and the concussion are why he's going to actually legitimately miss games in his career. But those would have knocked anyone out. But I will add this caveat. Again, objective. All right? This is called objectiveness. And I said this yesterday. What it comes down to is Tua needs to throw the ball away. He needs to get rid of the hero ball mentality. Saban's been talking about it since Alabama. That's how the hip injury happened. That's how the concussion happened. That's how we've seen some near turnovers because he's playing hero ball. Live to see another play, learn to throw the ball away. It rhymes, wasn't meant to, but it works. Shout out to Topher. They're weaponizing empathy and using Tua just to settle scores. Yeah, it's just what I've seen between the media and our fan base since last night. I'm sick. I'm already sick to my stomach that our quarterback is dealing with this. As a human being that's gone through as much adversity as this kid's already gone through, he has to deal with this right now. I'm already sick to my stomach over that. But then on top of this, I got to listen to, quite frankly, idiotic takes, idiotic statements from the media to these platforms. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And to see clickbaitiness and to see profiteering happen in our own fan base, it's one thing to expect that out of the media. But when you got our own fans doing that, that's messed up, man. That is messed up. Let me be the first one to say that. I'm appalled by how this has all worked. You know, like, it's one thing to come out here and give you all the information and tell you update. But people are out here straight trying to profiteer. G-Firm, why does it feel like we've been hit with the death penalty? My heart is broken. Get well, Tua. Bro, I said to EM today, man, it feels like this. It feels like, dude, it feels like you're going through a breakup, and we didn't break up with it. It's weird, man. EM Baller, did you see Dr. Lewinsky's tweets? Yeah, I saw Chris. He used to be a wrestler, and then he got involved in CT and the brain stuff with what happened to Chris Benoit. So I've known Chris Nowinski for quite some time. So, yeah, I got some donations rolling in here, so I'm going to read those, and then we'll get into it. It's bad enough that we got to deal with where our quarterback's at. We got to deal with our fan base like this. Dr. Dash said, thank you, bro. It's all needed to be said. Pathetic. Yeah, man. Like, I even feel guilty asking, inquiring when this kid's going to be back. Like JLTT says, $10 donations. I would rather have Tua walk away from the game than die in front of me. Stephen A. disgusts me. I pray he comes 100% healthy. The media hates the Dolphins, bro. It's sad. Man, Stephen A. is ridiculous, bro. Like, I'm telling you, the media, like, we expect the media to be this. I'm just telling you, I'm blown away that our own fans are like this. Like, I am blown away that our own fans don't have empathy because they're more worried about being right or their agenda. And then to see people justify those actions by our own fans is even more disturbing to me. Even more disturbing, especially when these people, are all up in arms when, you got people on Twitter and YouTube beefing and they're claiming bullying, and then it's just make it make sense, man. I don't get what's going on here. Like, again, what if Tua was your kid or your brother? Like, you'd really be out there saying that? And again, that's why I can't get down on the injury prone. I could get down on the injury prone if it's non-contact extremity, or if it was an extremity that kept getting hurt, or it was just hits would he'd be always out with like a sprain and stuff. I could get that. But that hip injury would have taken anyone out. And this concussion, that hit yesterday, would have taken anyone out. So anyone would have been injury prone to those. Like I said, the only thing he's got to get better at, he's got to learn to throw the ball away and live to see another day. This has been an issue since Alabama. Jackson says, welcome to the Pro Bowl. EM Baller says, why are they going after McDaniel? I feel bad for him. Man, we're going to play some of what McDaniel said today. McDaniel went off. Listen, we're going to look at a lot today, all right? We're going to break it down. I'm going to try and give y'all, because there's answers everyone has, right? Because yesterday, even when I saw when he was getting on the plane, I was like, whoa, that's crazy, right? Like, and then when we got backstage, I said to the guys backstage, I said, man, because we were just talking about Tua backstage, and I said to them, he must not be, the Dolphins must be telling the truth about the Bills game. There's no way they're letting a level 1 trauma center is not allowing him on the plane with the second impact injury. Just not happening. That's why I don't think there was. Now, did he get his bell rung against the Bills? You can get, I've been hit in the face before and seen stars, and I didn't have a concussion. You know, I've gotten in a hockey fight and I got clocked real nice right in the nose, and I saw stars for a brief moment, but I didn't like drop down or buckle. I didn't have, it wasn't over. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't concussed. I finished the game. I finished the fight. We kept rolling. So, he could have got his bell rung, right? In week 1. In week 3 against the Bills. We showed you the clip during the All-22 of how his back got extended. So you add in with his bell getting run in his back. Sure, okay, makes sense. But I'll show you why. We'll go through an interview with the NFL chief medical officer, and he'll give the explanation. Tua was tested every day of the week. McDaniel can only go off what the medical staff tells him. And listen, unless someone bought off or paid off or bribed somehow the unbiased neurologist that's on site for these games that has no ties, we're getting down conspiracy holes now. You know what I mean? And I'm not about to go there. I don't think that they would do that with Tua's health, man. I just refuse to believe that. So I don't think Flores would have done that. I don't think McDaniel would have done that. But again, you only have what the medical staff, all the evidence you have and all the information you have to go off is what the player himself tells you and what the medical staff tells you. And we'll see, McDaniel talked about his decision, and we'll get into that. Let's start off with all this stuff, okay? So let's start off with what McDaniel said about playing Tua Tagovailoa and his decision, all right? Let's get into that, all right? So this is what McDaniel said on playing Tua after the Bills game.
An eyeball test, which I know for a fact you guys would not be very comfortable if I was just relying on that and not. I mean, it's the reason why we have tests. He did not have a head injury, so guys hit their heads all the time, and that's why I was adamant about,
Shout out to G Firm for the $20 donation.
For having a head
Tua needs to learn how to fail.
Yeah. When I tell you he was in complete
falling, sorry. I'll read it in a sec, G Firm.
Talking to us through it, and then he played the whole game, and then he did press conference, and then he did media all week, and then he did, but so as far as if I were to sit someone for a medical issue going against medical people abstractly, then when do I play him again? I don't. This was not the timing of all of it, how things played out. I get the optics. I get exactly what it looks like. I understand all of this, and I understand people's concern. But the one thing that I can exude with 100% conviction is that every person in this building had 100% the correct process, diligence, and that's why there's not a there's not a player or person that you'd be able to talk to in the building that would think otherwise, because it is clear, contrite, and not something that is negotiable in any way, shape, or form. An eyeball test, which I know for a fact you guys would not be very comfortable if I was just relying on that and not. I mean, it's the reason why we have tests. He did not have a head injury, so guys hit their heads all the time, and
that's what McDaniel had to say regarding it. So G-Firm says Tua needs to learn how to fall. Jerome Bettis once said this: falling properly prevents injuries. Trying to break your fall can cause injury. When Tua gets sacked, he needs to crash to the ground awkwardly, and he tends to crash to the ground awkwardly, and it looks bad. So you see McDaniel saying, like, when he gets cleared by the medical staff, what am I supposed to do? Right? I mean, he's not wrong. Is he wrong? I don't think he's wrong. So, anyways, like that's the thing you get into. Yeah, again, all the information and evidence he has is based off what our medical staff says to him. And the player tells him. So, I'm going to play this. It's about an 8-minute clip. It's Judy Batista and the NFL chief medical officer. I believe his name is Dr. Alan Sills. All right. So let's see what they have to say here, all right? And actually, before we get into that, I did want to show you guys something too in regards to, let's stick with McDaniel and Tua. Before I do show you that, let's show you guys this. So Marcel Louis-Jacques tweeted out today that McDaniel said he and Tua sat together on the plane and watched McGruber during the flight home, and that Tua laughed throughout the movie. So, I mean, Tua was clearly in good spirits. And this is what Barry Jackson also tweeted out. McDaniel said there's no timetable for when Tua plays again. I have zero idea. Tua mentioned to McDaniel about not wanting to miss XYZ game. McDaniel said, Tua, don't even think about a game. NFL requires passing 5 phases for him to get out of protocol and play. Like, you know why this kid wants to play so bad, right? It's because of what the last regime did and the optics they put out there. They made everyone think he's soft. Everyone thinks he's soft because of the last regime. And some of y'all out there in Twitter and YouTube land ran with that narrative and pushed it among the fan base. And now he's feeling the need to force himself back. I said this yesterday. This guy's going to force himself back out there as quickly as possible because he wants to kill that narrative. And he's a competitor on top of that. So, I mean, this kid right now is just, sometimes these players need to be protected from themselves, and Tua needs to get his mind and his body right before he sees a football field. Let's take this one game at a time. We can take care of the Jets. Let's revisit this. That would be what, about 17 days from now, 2 games away. Let's revisit this, for that game. I mean, even if he is 110% okay, optic-wise alone, you shouldn't play him this week. And you know what? I think they are going to take this cautiously. I really do. So, I'm actually going to have a little bit of a Patreon update later tonight for y'all, and on the YouTube. If you're a YouTube member, it'll be on the community tab. So look for that later on tonight. I got some interesting stuff to talk to you guys about. All right. So look for a Patreon update coming tonight. Patreon.com/Finside the NFL, or become a YouTube channel member and it'll be on the community tab. Look for that late tonight. All right. So let's look at what Judy Batista and the NFL chief medical officer had to say here. Dr. Alan Sills, just so you guys can get, because I know a lot of people are wondering, why is Tua on a plane? Right. So let's play this. Here, let's get some answers.
Dr. Sills, thanks for joining us. First, let's get to the most important thing, which is, how is Tua Tagovailoa feeling this morning, and what kind of injuries did he suffer last night?
Well, Judy, we don't ever want to get into specifics about injury and invading anyone's privacy, but I think I can tell you that he was evaluated at the hospital and released last night and was able to travel back home with the team, which is all a great sign. So he'll continue to be monitored very carefully, but he was released from the hospital, and we're all certainly grateful for that.
Why was he cleared to fly home last night? We saw the injury and it looked bad, taken off on a stretcher. So why was he cleared?
Well, there are a couple things to realize, Judy. First of all, the fencing posture or impact seizure typically only lasts for a few seconds, up to maybe a minute. And then patients are often back to normal very quickly after that. So it's a very scary looking set of signs, but patients can clear quickly. And again, I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking about his case because I wasn't there to examine him. The other thing is that patients go to hospital and they're carried on a spine board, because if there's a loss of consciousness and they fall, you always want to protect or prevent against any further spine injury. So when you have a patient who's on a spine board and you take them to the hospital, then they're going to be tested and checked for both spine injury and brain injury. And typically that involves imaging or x-rays or MRI scans of both of those areas. And those will be then evaluated, and the patient will be evaluated, and the hospital medical staff will make a decision, obviously, about whether the patient needs to be kept for observation or not. So, that's the protocol we always follow anytime any player is transported to the hospital. Each stadium has what's called an emergency action plan just to be prepared for these type of situations. And so that was what was followed last night and what we always follow in these type of cases.
Let's go back to last Sunday when Tua was brought down. He hit the back of his head hard. When he tried to stand up, he stumbled. He struggled. His knees buckled under him, and his teammates for a while had to support him. He looked like he was shaking his head to sort of clear the cobwebs. Those are all things, as we've learned more about concussions over the last few years, that we've been told are symptoms of head injury and the kinds of things that automatically keep players off the field. We were told he was checked for a concussion. It was determined that it was a back injury, and he was allowed to return to this game. Can you tell us what went into clearing him from a concussion? Who made that decision?
Well, I can provide this information to you, Judy. First of all of our concussion evaluations on game day are done by both a team physician and an independent neuroconsultant. That means someone who's expert in brain and spine trauma, who's very familiar with and trained in our concussion protocol, has no relationship to the team, the player. They're brought in on game day. And as you know, we have one of those doctors on each sideline. We also have one up in the booth with our spotters to help recognize injury. So what I can tell you in this situation, Judy, is we're still doing a very active review of the entire situation. We do that in conjunction with the Players Association. And that review process will entail both groups speaking with everyone involved, the athletic trainer, the physician, the unaffiliated neurospecialist, the spotters in the booth, the neurospecialists in the booth, and ultimately the player themselves. And so we'll have all of those interviews. We review all of the video. We review all of the data. And the purpose of that review is to make sure that the concussion protocol was followed. And as you are aware, Judy, there are very serious consequences if the protocol was determined not to have been followed. But we don't make that determination from video. We don't make that determination from any other accounts. We make that determination, meaning the league and the Players Association medical staff together, once we review all that data. What I can tell you, Judy, so I can't comment specifically on that because that investigation is still very actively ongoing, and it's something that we're reviewing together. What I can tell you, though, is, again, to reiterate that in real time, these evaluations, when a player is evaluated, they are examined and interviewed by both the team physician and this independent neurospecialist, and those two confer, and they must both agree together in real time that a player is cleared in order for them to return to the game. You mentioned the fact that our concussion protocol has a few specific no-go criteria, meaning there are a couple of things that if a player just has those situations, then they are immediately diagnosed. We saw one of those last night, which is this fencing posture or impact seizure. Amnesia and confusion are the other two. But those are the only immediate no-go criteria. Everything else that suggests a concussion diagnosis comes after a detailed examination. And that examination can either be done in the blue tent or it can be done in the locker room. The one that's done in the locker room is a long-form exam. It's called the Sport Concussion Assessment Tool, or SCAT. And I can tell you that that's what was done in this case. So a very active review that will continue, but important to recognize that these are not decisions made by one person. They're made jointly by team staff and also this independent neuro expert.
In hindsight, should he have been kept off the field last Sunday?
Again, Judy, I think we have to go through and review all of the data. We have to speak with everyone involved and understand exactly what they saw and what they heard and what data was available to them, and did they correctly apply the concussion protocol. That's what we always ask our personnel to do, is apply the protocol. And again, we can't make that decision. I'm saying me as a physician, I can't make the decision watching on television at home. I have to understand and know exactly what data was made of them. What I can tell you, Judy, is this. As soon as we finish that review, we'll release the results of that to everyone. We want to be as transparent and open about this as possible. We certainly want to learn, to improve, to get better, and we want to be the best in the world at diagnosing and managing these injuries. And so if we find that we fell short, or if we find that there are things that we need to change, we will certainly be upfront about doing that. We've done that before, and we will certainly do that again if that's what's indicated.
Was Tua subsequently checked for concussion symptoms Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading up to the game last night?
Absolutely.
There
I know
you
that he
go.
was checked after the game. I know that he was checked the following day. In fact, every player who gets an examination on game day gets a follow-up exam the following day, even if that exam was negative. That's part of our concussion protocol. And then I know that this player was checked every day leading up to the
There you
game.
go.
So again, very comprehensive and thorough evaluation that consists of a prescribed set of tests outlined by our concussion protocol.
Given the severity of the injury last night, is it possible that that was exacerbated by the injury he suffered on Sunday, the fact that he hit his head last Sunday?
Yeah, I think, Judy, it's impossible to know that, but certainly that's one of the factors that we want to look at. And again, every injury to us is an important injury. Every injury is one we want to prevent. And we're about reducing concussions across the board. And not only that, as you know, I personally and our league has gotten out front and said we want to reduce head contact overall as well. We think that's a very important safety goal. So again, these are all things that we will review in the course of our review of that situation. When we reach the conclusions together with the Players Association, we'll be very transparent about that. We'll share that with you, with everybody that has an interest. And we'll also look to take away from this how we can improve and prevent this and other similar injuries.
Given what we've seen in...
So there you go. Tua was tested every day leading up to the game. I mean, we're all going to see the results of the investigation when it's completed. We're all going to get to see them. So, you know, the chief medical officer, I know he did a little bit of dancing around. The homie G Firm donated $9, and he says the NFL has some nerve to be so vociferous on his injury, yet constantly broadcasted it over and over again for the world to see. I thought networks hid egregious looking injuries. You know, it's it's an interesting thing. I mean, but you saw, you know, we got some information out of the chief medical examiner, you know, and he said, hey, like, this comes down to, I mean, he went, you know, Tua went into the locker room for a more in-depth concussion test than what he would have gotten in the blue tent, and an unbiased offsite neurologist as well as a team physician, they conferred and they said he was good to go for the Bills game. And then the fact that they gave him after the game another test, and then every day leading up to the Bengals game gave him a test, and they obviously got negatives. You know, it's very interesting to see, you know, where this is at right now. So, Jeff Darlington, he had this to say in regards to all the Tua stuff.
So now we bring in Jeff, and you can hear the emotion in Mike McDaniel's voice. Jeff Darlington, you were there today. You were there for the press conference. What are the Dolphins saying about how they're handling all of this now?
Yeah, Laura, it's been a tough day at the Dolphins facility. I can tell you that the priority has been Tua Tagovailoa's health, and for that, McDaniel did say that Tua was undergoing another MRI today after going through CT scans and X-rays last night in Cincinnati. He was anticipating those results at any point. He did note, though, that Tua has been in good spirits. Of course, that doesn't mean that he has cleared any kind of concussion protocol at this point. Now, of course, the big question here is the handling of Sunday's injury and how that led into this day. The Dolphins remain adamant. Mike McDaniel remains adamant that they did follow concussion protocol after that injury on Sunday that allowed Tagovailoa to go back onto the field. Now, this is something that the NFL and the NFLPA are currently looking into, but the NFL seemingly standing behind the Dolphins today. On Friday, NFL Chief Medical Officer Dr. Alan Sills saying that Tagovailoa was checked for concussion symptoms every day this week before an independent neurologist cleared him to take the field Thursday night. Again, the NFLPA and the NFL still wants this inquiry to go forward. It's also important to point out, though, that the unaffiliated neurological consultant that did clear Tua to re-enter the game on Sunday is hired by the NFL and the NFLPA jointly. So it's not as if the question here is simply whether the Dolphins erred allowing Tua back on the field Thursday, but also the process and the protocols that are in place. So a lot still to unpack about this situation, something that probably won't see resolution for the coming weeks. The best thing I can tell you out of the Dolphins facility today, though, is at the very least Tua Tagovailoa in good spirits after what was a very scary night in Cincinnati.
Thanks so much, Jeff, and some really important pieces of information. So now
So
we bring in Jeff.
So there you go. Yeah, that was absolutely brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. Hey, it is what it is. Just get better, Tua. Football is far from the main priority right now. His health is number one. The fact that this kid is in good spirits, the fact he was on the plane watching McGruber laughing, and the fact that he wants to go for this game, that game, this game. Hey, man, absolute competitor and rooting for you, Tua. No one deserves success more than that kid after everything he's been through in his life at the young age of 24. And that's why I'm so disgusted that media and people, our fan base, are taking victory laps, justifying people taking victory laps, and really handling this injury so poorly and telling on themselves what kind of people they really are. Unbelievable. Continuing on, Tua Tagovailoa did release this statement today. He said, "I want to thank everyone for all of their prayers and support since the game last night. It was difficult to not be able to finish the game and be there with my teammates, but I am grateful for the support and care I've received from the Dolphins, my friends and family, and all the people who have reached out. I'm feeling much better and focused on recovering so I can get back out on the field with my teammates. Hashtag TT4G, hashtag fins up." I mean, again, the kid's an absolute warrior. He's going to push himself to get back as soon as possible, right? He wants to win games. Now, I think we can beat the Jets with Teddy or Skyler. So the kid's just a warrior, man. And then Barry Jackson tweeted out, "Nothing serious alarming revealed in further Tua testing today. He is doing well." So there you go. They've been following up his testing today, and everything's coming back pretty much positive for the kid right now. So let's hope everything continues to come back positive for Tua Tagovailoa because, hey, the kid deserves some positivity in his life. What can I say right now? All right. All right. Let's get into the snap counts and such for the week 4 game. Let's do our little recap and analysis. Let's get into the snap counts, PFF grades, and next gen stats. Starting off with the snap counts. 64 total snaps for the Dolphins on offense. Interesting thing here, Connor, you got 2 snaps. Well, he's up from 1. River Craycraft's snap count went down from about 25 to 10. Mike Gesicki continues to be outsnapped significantly by Durham Smythe. 40 snaps for Smythe to Gesicki's 28. Raheem Mostert again leads the way. He had 46 snaps to Edmonds' 18, but Edmond had that key drop in the end zone. So hey, clear Durham Smythe is tight end 1 right now, and Raheem Mostert is being treated like RB1. So, I mean, Alec Ingold got more snaps than Chase Edmonds. So that is very, very interesting. When we head over to the defensive snaps, this is what we get. Javon Holland on the field for 98% of the snaps. Jerome Baker out there for 97. Wilkins out there for 84. Needham 83. Elijah Campbell got a snap. There you go. Elijah Campbell getting out there. Trey Flowers got 15 snaps, so he continues to get rotated in here. Good to see. Melvin Ingram, his snap count was actually down a little bit than what it has been from normal. He had 52% of the snaps. Landon Roberts had a higher than normal snap count at about 58%. Howard, because of the injury, ended up only playing about 62% of the snaps, as Nick Needham played 83%, and Kadir Gahu stepped up as a corner 2, playing 77%. Phillips actually played, the most snaps of any linebacker or edge player. And Raekwon thrust back in first game. He's already playing 59% of the snaps. Absolutely love. You love you love to see it, right? You love to see it, baby. Love to see it. All right, let's continue on here, though. We are going to get into the PFF grades now after looking at the snap counts, and then we'll get into the next-gen stats. Obviously, this episode was going to be, very Tua-oriented, and it was at the beginning there. Let's keep this up, though. Let's go into the PFF grades from this week. And this is what it looked like from a PFF standpoint. Offensively, Tyreek Hill was your top graded player at an 81.7. Tua Tagovailoa, before the injury, was actually the second highest graded Dolphin before the injury. Even with the interception, the guy was shredding. I mean, we would have beat the Bengals without... if Tua was healthy, we would have won last night. That's the other kick in the nads with the whole thing is, you lose your franchise quarterback and you watch how the game plays out and you're like, man, if we had our franchise quarterback, we are beating them right now. Right? And is what it is, man. Well, actually, you know what? At the end of the day, we'll get it back. We'll get it back. Trent Sherfield made some big catches when Teddy came in, and he actually ended up being the number 3 graded lineman. So pretty cool stuff. Trent Sherfield, and your number 1 graded lineman, was Teron Armstead at a 71.3. Connor Williams was your 5th highest graded guy at a 67.3. Greg Little, 38.6, was at the bottom. Durham Smythe, a 44.1. Chase Edmonds, a 44.7. Alec Ingold, a 47. And then Eichenberg struggling again. And then Teddy Bridgewater actually did not grade out very well. He had a 54.2. And what's crazy is, you look at Tyreek, again, graded well. 2 of his statistically best games in the NFL, 2 of his 8 biggest games in the NFL have actually come while he's a Dolphin, and he's only been here for 4 weeks. So, really interesting stuff, man. Really interesting stuff. Tyreek continues to earn every penny of the $30 million. Let's be real here. So let's start off with Teddy Bridgewater. He was 1 for 1 beyond the 20. On the intermediate level, he was 3 for 7. On the short level, he was 8 for 10. And then he was 1 for 1 behind the line of scrimmage. When he was kept clean, he was 10 of 12 for an 83.3 completion percentage and 149 yards. He averaged 12 yards per attempt. His interception actually came when he's kept clean. And I don't know why they didn't replay it, but, that interception looked like it might not have been good, man. When he was under pressure, that's when his touchdown came, but he was also 4 of 11 for a 36.4% completion percentage. He only averaged 4 yards per attempt for 44 yards. His average depth of target when he was kept clean was 10.7. It was 10.1 when he was under pressure. And his adjusted completion percentage when he was under pressure was 55.6 because there was a drop. He was 6 for 8 on play action, and his touchdown came off of it for 108 yards. A 75 completion percentage, but it's actually 85.7 if you adjust it. And his average depth of target was 13.4, and his yards per attempt was 13.5 off play action. Just straight dropbacks, he was 8 of 15 for a 53.3 completion percentage, 85 yards. And his adjusted completion percentage jumps to 64.3, and his average depth of target was 8.9. Now, Tua before he got hurt. Tua obviously threw that pick on the deep level. He was 1 for 3. On the intermediate level, he was 4 for 6. On the short level, he was 1 for 2. And then he was 2 for 2 behind the line of scrimmage. When Tua was kept clean, he was 6 for 11. And that's where his interception came for a 54.5 completion percentage. And it was actually adjusted to 80% because 2 drops came while he was kept clean, including that Waddle drop on first down. His average depth of target was 10.6, and his yards per attempt was 6.5 when he's kept clean. When he's under pressure, He was actually 2 for 3, 66.7%, and a 12.7 yards per attempt. And his average depth of target was 24 yards when he was under pressure. Crazy. When play action, he was 4 for 6 for 66.7% completion. Interception came there as well, 9.5 yards per attempt. Average depth of target was 14.2. Adjusted completion percentage after the drop off play action went up to 83.3. On straight dropbacks, he was 4 for 8 for 50%, 6.6 yards per attempt. 13.3 average depth of target, and 71.4% adjusted completion percentage because there was a drop. So, man, Tua was getting it cooking without, you look at his average depth of target and his yards per attempt, he was getting it cooking. So, let's look at blocking here. The Dolphins gave up 13 pressures, 0 sacks, but they gave up 8 hurries and 5 quarterback hits. Greg Little gave up 3 hurries and 2 quarterback hits. Liam Eichenberg gave up 2 hurries and 1 hit. Armstead gave up 2 hurries and 1 hit. Robert Hunt gave up a QB hit. So Connor Williams was the only lineman who had a clean slate. So 13 pressures, 4 penalties as a unit. Got to clean that up. All right, now, defensively, your top-graded defensive player was Christian Wilkins at a 91.1. Jalen Phillips showed up at an 89.8. He actually did have a really good game. Jerome Baker had an 87.3. Nick Needham had an 86.7. And John Jenkins had an 85.6. Duke Riley even had a 75.6. Trey Flowers had a 72.4. And AVG had a 70.8. When you go to the bottom, though, Sam McGuavin had a 27.9. Xavier Howard had a 42.1. Keon Crossan had a 44.7. Raekwon had a 49. And Landon Roberts had a 50, rounding out your top 5 worst-graded Dolphins. But look at Jalen Phillips. You could tell it was just a matter of time. I was telling you I was coming. Now, I predicted him to get 2, and he only got 1. But it's coming, man. It's coming. Now, when we get into the coverage matchups, though, look at Kadir Kahu. He was targeted 7 times, allowed 4 receptions for 75 yards, 2 first downs, and he had a pass breakup. The pass breakup came on Tyler Boyd. Xavier Howard was targeted 4 times, allowed 3 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown, including 3 first downs as well. T. Higgins and Joe Mixon caught all of their targets against Eric Rowe as he was targeted 3 times, allowed 3 receptions for 26 yards. Jerome Baker, he was targeted 3 times, and he allowed 1 reception, which was to Joe Mixon, and it was for a measly yard. Sammy Perine had a drop charge against him with Baker in coverage. Brandon Jones was targeted 3 different times. He allowed 2 receptions for 19 yards. So a better coverage night than recent memory for Brandon Jones. Keon Crossan was targeted 3 times against Jamar Chase and held him to 3 receptions for 67 yards. I really think more people need to be talking about Keon Crossan's effort. I know we want to be talking about Tua and everything's going on, but Keon Crossan, fantastic job. Very unsung hero, and gets my defensive game ball. My offensive game ball obviously is going to go to Tyreek Hill, but Keon Crossan gets my defensive game ball, holding Jamar Chase like that. Beautiful stuff. Nick Needham was targeted twice. He allowed 0 receptions against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Landon Roberts targeted twice, allowed 1 reception for 19 yards and a first down to Hayden Hurst. Joe Mixon caught 1 target. It got his only target against Duke Riley, but only got -2 yards off of it. Sam McGuavin targeted once and allowed the reception to Hayden Hurst, but only for 2 yards, but it was also for a touchdown. Melvin Ingram targeted once when he dropped back into coverage, and he allowed a reception for 18 yards. Jalen Phillips allowed a reception in coverage to T. Higgins for only 0 yards. They got 3 yards after the catch, but just gets back to the line of scrimmage. And Javon Holland was targeted once against Jamar Chase and allowed 0 receptions. So, yeah, Keon Crossan, great stuff, bud. Great stuff, bro. Held him there. And Keon Crossan was good in coverage all night. So, good stuff by Keon Crossan. Got to show the love, man. Got to show the love. So, guys, those are your PFF grades and everything. Hey, shout out to Keon Crossan. Shout out to Keon Crossan. All right? Gotta respect it. Gotta respect the Keon Crossan effort. Gotta respect it, man. All right. That said, let's go in. We'll jump into next gen stats, and we'll start off with the passing charts. Now, they didn't release Tua's passing chart. This is Teddy's. I mean, not really much to look at. Nice amount of, not really much to look at all. Let's be honest with ourselves. 14 of 23, 193 yards, a touchdown, and interception. And then here was the passing chart of Joe Burrow yesterday, who was 20 of 31. Distributed the ball pretty well. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns. I still think we could have beat him. A lot of that stuff came in, to me, what was garbage time when our defense was worn out. I mean, our defense been on the field for 71 minutes by that fourth quarter. So, that's when he started putting numbers on the board other than the the touchdown on X, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to really hate on our defense for allowing 287 yards. And again, our defense did its job. It was really, in the fourth quarter when clearly they were gassed that it started adding up. And then finally, next gen stats here. The longest completed pass yesterday was Teddy Bridgewater's 61.4 air yards to Tyreek. Now remember, they only count from the line of scrimmage and beyond. They don't count from behind the line of scrimmage where the actual launch point is. Joe Burrow had 44.7 yards. Tyreek, he was the fastest ball carrier all night with 20.48 miles per hour. Jamar Chase reached 19.55 miles per hour for the Bengals. Jalen Phillips had the fastest sack for us at 4.9 seconds, while Josh Tupoyu had 6.8 seconds on that sack. Well, on Tua. Again, should have got rid of the football. Almost 7 seconds. Teddy Bridgewater, that was his passing performance. 14 of 23 for a touchdown and an interception. They don't even have Tua's. And you see Joe Burrow. Those are their passing charts, that we just saw. Those are them put into a similar style to PFF. Rushing the ball, Raheem Mostert had a lot of good stuff off that right side. 5 attempts for 38 yards off that right edge. Absolutely beautiful. Doing decent off that left edge too. I mean, he was averaging over 4 yards a carry to the outside. He's the type of back we need in this outside zone offense right now. Chase Edmonds, not so hot when you look at it there. Joe Mixon, he had success off that right edge as well. He's had some success in the interior. End of the day, 24 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Given his talent, I can live with that. Receiving, again, look at the league average. Hill averaged 4.11 yards of separation. Gesicki 3.94, Waddle 2.42, Sherfield 2.76, Craycraft under a yard at 0.7, and the league average is 2.91 yards. Over there, Hayden Hurst averaged about 5.66 yards, Tyler Boyd 1.3, Jamar Chase 2.69, T. Higgins 4.18, and Asai at 1.77. So again, T. Hill put up those separation numbers, right? And average separation from the QB, Melvin Ingram, about, the league average is 4.53 yards. Ingram was at about 3.31 yards. Phillips at about 3.92. Wilkins at about 4.21. And Ogba at about 4.96. Hendrickson, 4.35 yards. BJ Hill, 4.71 yards. Hubbard at 4.85 yards. And Tupo at 5.4 yards. So, Man, it's even difficult, because at the end of the day, I know I got to go over the grades. I know I got to go over all this stuff, but at the end of the day, the only thing I think that's on our mind is, is to his health, and all we can do is continue to pray that he gets better. You know what I mean? That he gets better and he feels good. So, um, I'm feeling a way about it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm feeling a way about it. So, man, it's one of those things where, it feels surreal a little bit. Like to see that happen to the kid, it's just, I don't know. I don't know, man. To see that happen to the kid is just next level to me. It shouldn't have. I don't know, man. It's I wouldn't want to see that to any player on our team, man. The sight of those fingers and everything like that. I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone on our team, man. Anyone. I don't care whether I like the player or not, and that's what's just, to me, that is what's so frustrating about this thing. That people are actually happy about this. That people are actually, taking victory laps over this stuff. Like, I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. So, I don't know, man. Listen, we're going to break down what we're going to do for film this week is we're going to break down all of Tua's dropbacks, and we will also look at some key dropbacks from Teddy Bridgewater this week. So, I haven't decided when we're going to go live with it, but we're going to definitely won't be Sunday because everyone enjoy your football. But we'll be going live with it. I just got to figure out when. So be out on the lookout. It looks like it's either going to be Saturday, Monday, or Tuesday. We go live with it. So be out on the lookout for that. We'll be breaking down the film, some Teddy throws, as well as every Tua drop back. It'll be we'll take a nice look at the quarterback play for the Dolphins, especially heading into this big key game against the Jets, because we got to get it back on track, right? So, as always, guys, I do want to also say, please, FinsideTheNFL.com, go support the channel. I appreciate everyone that donated tonight, especially with the demonetization that's been hitting these all 22 videos lately. Appreciate all y'all for donating tonight, man. And everyone just have a good weekend. Like, I know we're all feeling down, but everyone just feel, everyone just, let's try and keep our chin up. You know what I mean? And Tua's okay. He's feeling better. They've done more tests and nothing negative's come out of it. So he's on the road to recovery. Let's hope he gets there. And, man, I know it's hard, but we just got to support our guy right now. That's it. He's a warrior. We just got to support him, support his family. Imagine how his parents feel right now. So you just got to, keep him in your thoughts, keep him in your prayers. And listen, that's the kind of injury and sight and optic you wouldn't want to you wouldn't want to wish that on, your worst enemy. So, man, let's just get Tua healthy. And whenever Tua does come back, please, for the love of God, Tua, throw the ball away. I'm telling you right now, as a diehard fan of over 30 years, it's okay to throw the ball away and live to see another play. I want to see you in your career pan out and flourish. I ain't trying to see the image of what I saw yesterday again happen, because this kid is the last one that deserves anything like that to happen to him. And I just want this kid to be successful, not only because we reap the benefit, but because the kid deserves it for after everything he's been through, going back all the way to Bama and such. So someone said something to me and it really rung with me. If you remember that Tua documentary, when he got drafted, that came out, and he said to his parents, why is this stuff always happening to me? And bad things happen to good people. And he deserves all the success in the world. And it's coming, man. When he's healthy, his breakout season will continue, and he will continue turning that corner. And I will have a little bit of a Patreon update for y'all later. So, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Love all y'all. I will see all y'all in the next one. We'll break down to his film as well as Bridgewater. And then next week, we're back to it. We're preparing for the Jets. And Zach Wilson will be back this weekend. So, guys, enjoy the weekend. You know, I know it feels like you lost a loved one. I know it feels like you broke up with someone. I know it feels like someone shot your dog. But, you know, Tua has overcome adversity time and time again. He'll overcome this. We'll overcome this. And we'll get right back on track, baby. All right? Listen, love all of y'all. I will see all of y'all on the next one. Again, you already know what time it is, baby. Fins up. All day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we'll lay. Love all of y'all. Please stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. September's about to end. October's amongst us. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, guys, I will see y'all on the next one. Fins up, baby.